Welcome back to another review on squadding quads, and today we're reviewing the Deepspace Seeker 3, the smaller cousin of the Deepspace Seeker 5, obviously. Now, over the course of the next 30 minutes, I know you guys have got so many questions because you've already asked me them. How fast does it go? How efficient is it? How long can it fly for? How far can it fly for? That's a difficult one with the legal issues that we have around flying drones in this country. But we think we found a way of doing it. We added some really bright LEDs to this when we tested it. We didn't test it today because obviously we tested it on another sunny day. How good is it? Is it worth buying? If you've got the Seeker 5, should you buy the Seeker 3? That's what we're here for. We're here to dive deep. We're going to look at the QC of this. I have had a comment from somebody already that said that they've got an issue with their GPS after a crash, and now it won't arm. So we're going to delve into that and have a look into that. Where the GPS is sectioned or situated, it's probably in about the only place it can be realistically without having a full enclosure like the Seeker 5 does. But we'll get into all that detail. We'll get into it. Grab yourselves a drink, because over the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to try my very best to entertain you. And if I don't, sorry, let's go.
The Seeker 3 from Deepspace is a 3-inch version of the Seeker 5, which is a 5-inch version of the Seeker 3. But what's the key differences between them? Let's have a look at the spec. And we can see that you can either get it with ELRS 2.4 GHz or TBS 915. Deepspace say the weight is 175 grams. It comes obviously with the DJI O4 Pro, but you've also got in the box some adapters to use the DJI O3 if you wish. The flight controller is an F722. Comes with HQ 3x3x3 props. They recommend a battery of between 650 and 1100 mAh 4S. It's got an XT30 16 megabyte black box. It's got AEther 1505 4000 kV motors, and it comes with a BL Heli 32 40 amp ESC. Now let's get some closer looks at some of those parts and see how well it's been put together. And I'm sure it won't shock you, and it certainly doesn't shock me, that the quality of this drone, the way it's been put together, all looks absolutely fantastic. Just like the Deepspace Seeker 5 did. We've got lovely solder joins, we've got thoroughly thought out sort of cabling options. Maybe the motor wires are slightly too long and could be tucked behind the standoffs, but it's a minor complaint, it really is. The motors look lovely. Everything is put together really, really well. This drone is really nice looking in exactly the same way the Seeker 5 was. So that's a pass from me. Let's move on. And the Seeker 3 weighs 181 grams without a battery on it. Now, if we add a 850 4S, that takes us to 283 grams above the mythical 249. However, if we put on a 720 mAh LIHV, it takes us to 248 grams.
Let's have a quick look at the unboxing of the Seeker 3 from Deepspace. Obviously, you're going to get the drone in there. It comes with a set of props as well. Everything is already connected. Even your battery straps are on. You just need to fold out the antennas, which are folded over. It's so simple. I really don't need to show you guys how to do that. And then inside the box, again, it's a very simple and straightforward affair. You'll find the drone is connected to this with the battery strap. You just need to remove it, and then your accessories. You've got a spare set of props. You have got then, if you want to mount an O3 or an analog camera and take the O4 out, you've got the accessories to do that. And then you've got a couple of stickers, and that's it. It's a really simple affair, but I quite like that. Sometimes companies will put loads of information in there, and that's brilliant for pilots who are newer to the hobby. But for people who are a bit more experienced, and ultimately I think a drone like this is probably aimed at the more experienced angle and aspect, it's lovely to have it so simple and just everything there ready to go. Take it out, put the props on, and away you go. Obviously you need to go into Betaflight and do some setups, but we'll talk about that in a second. Let's have a quick comparison. I've got some comparison shots, but while I've got the microphone on, I think it's probably wise that we do a really quick comparison of the Seeker 3 and the Seeker 5 on the desk. You can see there is quite a substantial size difference between 3 and 5 inch. We'll talk about flight performance and stuff, but I just wanted to initially show you the difference in hand. The Seeker 3 in my hand. Now I do have big hands, as we've discussed many times, but that's a Seeker 3 in my hand. And then that's a Seeker 5 in my hand. We'll put some more cinematic shots up and we'll talk some more about the differences. I think the main one that you can see initially, there are a few more to be fair, is this has got a TPU side panel, this doesn't. This is running props out, and this is running props out, which is good. The other issue, or the other difference, is this GPS is completely housed in here and supports obviously a GoPro. This one isn't, and doesn't support a GoPro, which isn't really an issue with the 04 and at this weight. But what I did have is I had a comment from somebody, and I'm just going to that said they've just been for their maiden flight with the Seeker 3. They've had a relatively minor crash, and from that relatively minor crash, they've somehow broken the GPS, and the drone will no longer arm, which is a bit concerning because on my setup, the sanity checks were set to off, which means that if you don't have a GPS signal, you can still arm. So if you break your GPS, it's not a problem. Now, I'd have reached out to the person who left the comment and I've asked them to check and see if the sanity checks were on or off, because on mine, the sanity checks were set to off, so you can fly without. If theirs are set to on the bottom of the screen about there-ish, if he replies with his comment to see whether or not his sanity checks were on or off, because if he's had a crash and it won't arm and his sanity checks are off, then it's not the GPS, it's something else that's a problem. But that wire there, I mean, I'm not sure what else you can do. Apart from enclosing it completely like this one, there's not really much else they can do. But he did ask me to mention it, and I have mentioned it. And hopefully we get an answer from him about his sanity checks. Now, speaking of sanity checks, let's turn the PC on. Let's plug it into Betaflight. Let's get it set up and ready to fly. Spoiler alert, I've already flown it, but hey ho. It's the magic of editing. Let's go. Let's get the lowdown then on exactly how to set this up and what's in Betaflight. First of all, you need to grab a USB-C, plug it into here. Now, the great thing with Deepspace is they say that as per DJI's requirements, they will activate all 04 units. So you don't need to do anything, it's already activated by Deepspace. Some people may not like that. It makes life for somebody like me who has to activate constantly a breeze. All you need to then do, obviously, with your 04 is once you power on your goggles, once you power on your quad, is just press that bind button there and you're done. So that takes a step out of it. So I don't need to show you that setup on this particular video. If you do need to know how to activate an 04 Pro or an 03, I will have a video linked probably there. And you can just click it and do things. Right, now we're connected into Betaflight and I'm going to record the screen, but I'm also going to show you wiggling the quad because this is something that's caught a few people out in recent time. Also, I want to say thank you for 41,700 subscribers. You guys are absolutely incredible. Incredible. I cannot believe the level of support that you've given me. I thank you each and every one. Right, are we recording? We are now recording. Okay, you'll see on the screen now that we're in Betaflight. The first thing you're going to want to do when you build a quad, and this is something I always do, even with quads that are bind and flies, is just make sure that when you tip it forward, when you tip it back, when you tip it left, and when you tip it right, it goes the right way. I have had a bind and fly that's come with that setting incorrect. And to fix that, what you would need to do is you would need to go into your configuration and work out exactly what angle is wrong. So you roll, your pitch, or your yaw of how your flight controller is installed in there. But the great news is with this drone, we don't need to do that because it's set up properly. As we move through the different settings in Betaflight, make sure that your arming angle is set to 180 degrees. What this does is make sure that no matter what angle your quad is at, whether it's upside down, whether it's like that in a tree hanging loose, you can still arm it. And if you're hanging like that in a tree, the chances if you arm it, you'll get it back out of that tree. If your arming is set to 25, which is Betaflight default, and you're hanging like in a tree like that, it will not arm. So always make sure that your arming angle is set to 180 degrees. Make sure the air mode is set to on, otherwise when you drop throttle to 0, instead of it coming down slowly, it will just fall out of the air. Channel forwarding, I'm not sure why we need channel forwarding on this, but I've left it anyway. GPS is turned on, LED strip is turned on, and OSD is turned on. We don't have the beeper set to RX loss and RX set. Anybody who is a newer pilot is probably going to want that. And I did actually crash this and I couldn't find it, so I am actually going to set it now. Let's check the lowdown now in the ports and make sure that everything is set up properly. So we can see that on UART number 2, we've got the serial, that's for the ELRS. UART number 4, we've got the MSP configured, which is for the DJI O4 Pro. And obviously the bottom UART number 6 is set for GPS. Now moving into failsafe, and this is how it came out of the factory. We've got allow arming without fix, so our sanity checks are disabled, so to speak. And that will mean that if your GPS is disconnected, like that guy who left the comment, or you want to take off before you've got 8 satellites, you can do that. Just bear in mind, if you take off before you've got a GPS lock and you hit GPS return to home, or you lose a signal, it will not work, it will just drop. So please do bear that in mind. If we move into the PID tune now, and we can see in the PID tune, this is the standard PID tune that comes out of the factory. I am going to make a couple of improvements moving forwards in the coming weeks, so do stay tuned for some follow-up videos. I think it's a nice tune, but I do think there's a little bit of room for improvement. And in here are the filters settings. This is how the filters are set, and I think this is probably right, if I'm completely honest. Having a look at my rates, I'm set to center sensitivity 10 and 1600, 1600 and 1300. I do have a little bit of expo on this. That was purely just for the Maiden flight. I'm going to reduce that. I haven't set up throttle expo because I don't, but if you guys need to set up throttle expo, I do have an explainer in the Pavo 20 Pro video of what throttle expo is, why you might need it, and how it might actually help you. Moving down into the receiver tab, and obviously this is where you would check to make sure your controls are working. And in the modes tab, this is how we've set it up. So we currently just have an arm, angle, GPS rescue and pre-arm. We do need to add turtle mode to this, and we'll do that again in a future video. So do please stay tuned. Now, GPS, you can see that we don't have a battery connected, but we have got a slight signal even here inside the studio, so it's a decent GPS. It did take a little bit of time to lock on the first, I think it was a couple of minutes, which is longer than I would normally expect, but we'll see in the coming weeks as we use it more and more just how quickly it normally picks up after being used a few times. Our motor configuration, as we saw on the box, is props out, and that confirms it in here, so everything's set up right. And we've got bidirectional D-shot set up in here as well. This is how the OSD is set up, and this may or may not work in your goggles. The best way, you can connect a battery whilst it's connected to the USB, turn your goggles on, and just move the elements around if they don't fit where you think they should fit or where you want them to fit. And that is pretty much the setup in Betaflight. If you've got any questions, please do drop them in the comments down below. But for now, we'll move on to the next segment. Lovely and quiet. Feels lovely and smooth on the controls. We've got obviously 1600, 1600 and 1300 rates. So as smooth as it is on the controls, it will, whenever you want, kick you in the face nice and hard. And we will ask it to kick us in the face nice and hard right about now. Lovely. Smooth, controlled, clean, quiet. Now again, we'll go to the back of here. We'll go nice and slow and nice and calm, just to make sure our signal's okay. Remember, we can't punch up because of the power lines above us. So we have to be super responsible doing this. And we're absolutely fine. The signal's absolutely rock solid. So now what we can do is we can just start having a little bit of fun. And who doesn't fly drones to have fun? So we've flown for a minute and we're at 3.8 volts. This is an LIHV 4.25. So it doesn't seem that it's overly efficient, but it does feel lovely and powerful. It's got hang time for days. Let's go around here and do a sideways power loop. Sideways to where I am. Lovely, lovely. But we've now dropped to 3.6 volts.
It's so smooth, so cool. Really, really nice, this drone. But already we're at 3.6 volts after 2 minutes of flying. So it's not very efficient.
Yeah.
Now, is that because of the size of the motors, or is that because I've not really been ripping it very hard, to be honest? I wonder if it's because it's a 3-inch, and this is why I've avoided a lot of 3 inches up to now. The efficiency just doesn't seem to be there in the same way it is on the 2.5 inch, which still has lots of power. So oh, there. No, it's okay. I was just I was just a bit confused.
What?
All right, so there are animals up there, so we're not going to go up there. We're going to stay down here. We don't want to upset anybody or anything.
Yeah.
Over the power lines. It's a lovely pitch tune. It's nice and smooth. Nice and easy to fly. We're on 3.55 volts, and we've been flying for 3 minutes.
The horses might be watching.
They might be.
They're literally standing there looking around. We're like, what is that? Jesus. Calm down.
Calm down,
Like, calm down, bro. Calm down.
So actually the efficiency is not too bad. We're on 3.5 volts.
Giant glass pieces on the floor.
Yeah, be super careful, won't you, sir?
Yeah, you can go rattle in the metal. Like a broken rattle.
And I just want to come in now at this point and say that you may have seen on that footage that it was quite shaky at times. This was not something that I saw in my goggles, and this was an issue that I'd had with the Deepspace Seeker 5. I've only seen that we've got shaky footage now when I'm editing the review, so I'm going to show you the next 2 flights. Please do bear with that shaky footage, because at the end of those 2 flights I'm going to have an explainer as to what's caused it, but more importantly how you guys can fix it if it happens to your quads, because from 2 quads I've had from Deepspace, they've both had this fault that I've needed to investigate and ultimately fix, if you like. It's a relatively simple fix. I know other people have had quads from Deepspace and not had this fault, but you may be one of the unlucky ones that gets it. So if you do get it, I'll show you at the end of these next 2 flights. These next 2 flights are quite important to show you. And as much as I hate it because of how shaky they are important to show you because they do answer certain questions. And then we'll come back in here and we'll show you exactly how you can fix it if you're unlucky as well. And moving on to the community spotlight. And first of all, I want to start by thanking our incredible Patreon members, patreon.com/squaddingquads. Trinity FPV, Eddie Emery, Ola Bergervel, Diana's Adventure Printing, SOS Death Valley Creations and Drone Life. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you so much for helping move this channel forward. I'd also like to thank It's Luke on Instagram for being a member there, and moving on to the YouTube members now. I'd like to start by thanking David Sainty, Skydar, Airbender FPV, Hans Solo, ABJ, Raining Squad FPV, Lifestyle FPV, SOS Death Valley, Trinity FPV, 420 FPV, GNCRC, Hello Outlaw, Mr. Oreo, Flyzone FPV, JVIP Gaming, Axon, Simca, Chaser FPV, Tim S, FPV Addict, Droney, Christopher Clayton, Silicon Photography, Club Alexandro, Boy Wonder FPV, Connor Clark, Doper FPV, Mark Duplex, Harry M Photography, JR FPV, James III of Boston, Phil Anderson, Not Here, Onyx FPV, Only Drones, and Barry Morgan. Thank you all so much for helping push this channel forward to try to take us to the next step. Every single one of you who supports this channel, it means the absolute world to us. Thank you all so much. And we're on 5 minutes and 50 seconds. This is probably not going to be the most exciting flight you've ever watched in your entire lives, but you guys quite often do want to know, how long will it fly for? How far will it fly? Well, you saw where we got RX loss, and you've seen that we've gone over 6 minutes with an 850. So that should answer the questions that you guys may have. Now, I'm even going to come down slowly.
I just heard a beep beep beep.
Oh, weird. Right. Okay, Boy Wonder, watch out, because we're on 3.49 volts and we're on 6.5 minutes flight time. Battery's going, so what I'm going to naturally do is fly over water. 3.45 volts, right. 3.40, right. I'm landing and I'll see you in the next location. Our crazy freestyle flight, and we're going to dive the chimney. So the best thing for us to do here, the safest thing for us to do here, is to go around the outside of this, I assume, power generating thing. Although it looks a bit like a data center as well, so I'm not overly sure. Now we're going to keep a very close eye on all our systems and make sure that our signal is good before we risk anything. We have got GPS rescue set up. We've got 27 satellites. The security guard is walking around, so probably going to have to be a little bit careful today. Just a nice easy dive there first of all, just to warm up with, and we'll probably power loop through this little mine shaft here as well, since the wind isn't overly bad today. Now the security guard's on the path over there, so just want to do this dive before he gets over here. Just purely from a safety point of view, not from a legal point of view.
Because if it's not legal...
No, it's legal to do it. We're sub 249 grams.
Yeah.
And it's an abandoned place, so...
Yeah. The security guard's there just in case urban explorers go there.
Yeah, I suspect that's what it's for.
Yeah.
Now, I did try and do a power loop there, but it wasn't a very good one, so...
Scared me.
We'll probably try a different one. Or another one, should I say. There's a little bit of wind coming in from the left.
Yeah, I can feel it.
So we have sort of managed a power loop there. Not the best one I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
But it's done it nonetheless.
Good try.
And then we'll dive the chimney again. Security guard's over here, so we'll go behind him. We won't go over his head. No doubt this probably gives him a little bit of excitement on a boring day. Sun is out, so I dare say there will be other people flying here later on this evening.
Yeah. Maybe us again.
But it's just such a brilliant place to fly. It's a shame that we can't do it officially. I would love FPV UK to get somewhere like this.
Yeah.
Or a similar event. Right, we're at 3.5 volts, so we're now going to leave the complex. We've been flying for 2 minutes and 51 seconds, and that was a relatively hard rip, to be fair. And we'll drop into these trees like we did with the flyfish, and we'll do a little bit of freestyle. Don't know how much we're going to be able to do, but we'll do some. So we'll start the move like we did last time, and we'll go up.
Nice.
That was quite cool.
You're doing very high throttle there. Oh, yeah, that scared me.
I
I thought you literally hit the tree. Nope.
It was close, wasn't it?
Yeah, very close. You're not saying it's a little bit close, it was very close. Like, Jesus, you scared me.
question I'm often asked is, how fast does this drone go? And we're going to do a speed test now on the Seeker 3. So we know where the wind is coming from, and in order to make it as neutral as possible, we're just going to slide over these trees here and face back to ourselves, and you'll see that the MPH in the top right tops out at 85 miles an hour. So that's how fast you can expect. Now, again, it did use quite a lot of juice to get to 85 miles an hour, so you can't sustain it for a huge amount of time, but that will answer the question as to how fast is the Deepspace Seeker 3. So once I'd got home and I started to edit all the footage, I very quickly realised that there was a problem. Again, the problem was very similar to the Seeker 5 that I initially had, that all the footage was really shaky. Checked all the screws, wasn't a problem. And I thought surely it couldn't be that the ESCs are set to 24 kilohertz again, can it? And that's exactly what the problem was. Now, the reason I was a bit surprised by this is I did actually speak to Deepspace after the review of the Seeker 5 had gone live to let them know about the issues, and they said obviously that shouldn't have happened and we'll make sure that we keep an eye on it. I then ordered this directly from Deepspace, paid for myself. This is not a sponsored review, and it's just a little bit disappointing to see that it's come out again with 24 kilohertz on the ESCs. So all of the flight footage that whether I've included it or not, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this now because time is against me, unfortunately. I am obviously going to have to fly it again because one issue that I had and that I was complaining of was the efficiency, and that may well be down to the fact that the ESCs were set to 24 kilohertz. Probably isn't, but you know, we need to give it a fair crack of the whip, don't we? Really frustrating, really frustrating on what is ultimately a really nice quad at a decent price that looks really nice, that flies really nice, to have to come back again and have exactly the same issues as I did with the other one. But at least you guys now know if you get shaky footage. You don't see this in your goggles, by the way, and that's what the killer is. I should have done my due diligence after the Seeker 5 and checked this before, but I didn't. But you guys, if you go out flying and you don't see any issues in your goggles whatsoever, you come back and you check your footage and it's all shaky, it's down to the fact that ESC is set to 24 kilohertz, and on the 04 it needs to be, and the 03 it needs to be set to 48, otherwise that's what's happened, and there's no way now of fixing that footage. So really frustrating, really frustrating. Right, let's move on. Initially at this point was where I launched into the outro that I'd filmed on location. But that isn't fair because we found an issue with the quad. We fixed the issue with the quad. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the outro, and then at the end, keep watching until the very end, because at the very end of the video will be another video of how the quad flies now that the ESC has been updated to the correct settings, and you can make your own mind up whether it should be 24 or 48 hertz. I did speak to Deepspace, and Deepspace said, yep, we flashed them all on 24. I'll do part of the outro now, and then halfway through it we'll cut to the fly, and then we'll do the rest of the outro. But please just bear in mind that the outro was filmed before I realised there was a problem with the footage. The thoughts and opinions in it are still very relevant because I do actually talk about potential QC issues. What may not be relevant, because I haven't done the extra flight at the time of recording this voiceover, is whether the efficiency is improved or not by changing those settings. I don't think they will, but you know, everything's on the table at the minute. So bear that in mind. Halfway through this outro, we will cut to, or maybe at the end, I don't know. At some point, we'll cut to another flight where it should all be smooth, and we'll see what the efficiency is, and we'll see how it goes. And then we'll either cut back to the outro or we'll end the video. I don't know. You guess in the comments down below how I'm going to finish this, because I've got to be honest, I've got absolutely no idea.
This was the Deepspace Seeker 3 review. What a fantastic little quad this is. This is beyond question a freestyle quad. Now, we did fly a Dogcom 850mm 4S, and we got about 7 and a bit minutes in total of flight time from that. But as you saw from that flight, it was quite a boring flight. It was pretty much straight lines, 25 miles an hour, just chill. But the option is there if you want something that will just cinematic and nothing else, but at a relatively slow pace. The option's there, and you'll get about 7 minutes. You can strap a lithium ion to it as well, and I dare say you'll probably get 10-15 minutes out of it. What do we think of it? Honestly, well, from a freestyle point of view, it's absolutely brilliant. For the price and for how capable it is, it's really good. To keep it under 249 grams, you've got to use a 720 mAh LIHV. That puts it, believe it or not, 248 grams. Would I recommend it? If you are in the market for something that is pure freestyle only, yes, I absolutely would recommend it. It flies really well, it's set up really nice, it's high quality, it's high class. I don't understand why they haven't included some TPU side panels on this to match the Seeker 5, because this has props in as well, so obviously that means that it's going to flick in to the flight controller stack. But that all said, we can excuse all that because we are literally nitpicking now. And that's what we do. We look at the nth degree as to whether your money is worth spending on something like this. If you're in the market for a sub 250 gram drone that will freestyle like crazy, this is something worth considering. What I will say about this is It's gorgeous. It's a really, really nice looking quad. And if you've got the 5-inch version, it's a perfect partner to it. I'll leave a link in the description down below. It is an affiliate link. If you use it, it will help support the channel, but it won't cost you any extra, and I will really appreciate that.
So we're back out with Deepspace Seeker 3, hoping to have fixed the ESC issue whereby the flight footage is very, very unstabilised. As you can see now, it's completely fixed absolutely everything. No, I really don't know, because as I said on the review, earlier on in this review, you can't actually see on the goggles whether it's fixed it or not. So we are just playing blind at the minute. Oh, sorry mate.
Oh.
It's my face, have you got it?
Yeah, I almost dropped it. I was trying to
Sorry. Now I don't think it'll help the efficiency by changing the ESC settings. However, does it mean that we can't check?
No.
And this is going to be ultimately just a...
I'm just going to put my thing in the bin. I'm just going to like keep pointing at the tree whilst doing it. And I'm back.
Welcome back, sir. So this is going to be nothing but a hard rip, of course. Just to test to make sure that setting has fixed the issue of the janky footage. As you can see, this does fly really well, there's no question about that. It's no good if your footage is unusable though, is it?
Yeah.
So as long as, now we're on 1 minute and 44 seconds, 3.65 volts. So it doesn't seem to have helped the efficiency.
Well, I mean, I'm 45 seconds.
Yeah, the battery's nearly dead.
Last time it was 2 minutes and 40. Well, 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So technically 3.
Well,
3
to be
minutes.
fair though, we
but
have
here it's 1 minute.
we have flown it harder here than we did before. To be fair.
I mean, I can tell.
But I think if I could wish for one thing with this quad, as long as the footage is resolved, I think the only thing I'd wish for is it was just a little bit more efficient. As good as it is to throw around, the efficiency just isn't brilliant. But that doesn't mean it's not fun, because it certainly is.
So shaky right now.
It's okay, mate. I'll probably just use the audio from this anyway, so don't worry too much.
This isn't cold. I mean, you use the takeoff and stuff as well.
And the takeoff and stuff, yeah.
And we'll record it landing as well, so.
Okay, mate. We're on 3 minutes, 3.6 volts. It does recover quite well once we let go of the throttle. Should we try? Now, I don't have total mode set up still, but I was going to say, should we try and matty flip through the tree? Are you ready to run?
Go for it. I'm pointing up the tree now. Go for it. I see it.
Yes!
You did it!
That was incredible.
I didn't really look like a matty flip, but good job.
Well, I think I did it.
Okay, it looked more like a power loop.
Wait till you
Well,
see
a
it.
short power loop. Want to go for another one?
Yeah, I think I should. So we're at 3 minutes and 30 seconds and we're at 3.5.
Risking it for the biscuit. Risking it for the biscuit.
We don't have a huge amount of give left in this battery. So I'm just going to come around this way first.
Oh, we're going to risk it for the biscuit.
We're going to risk it for the biscuit. Let's go.
Risk it for content. What?
Incredible. Incredible.
Nah.
I love this drone.
Did you almost hit the ground or crash?
Yeah.
Or okay.
Right, 3.3 volts. Sugar. Coming in fast.
Sugar.
Coming in hot. Yeah, record the landing.
I am. And that's it.
If you've got any questions whatsoever on this drone or anything else, drop them in the comments down below. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.